Behind Bars explores why prison presents a new kind of threat for the Chicago rapper, testing his limits like never before. Lil Durk, a name synonymous with the streets and hip-hop success, is now in the dark spotlight after his arrest for an alleged murder-for-hire plot that rocked the music industry and left him facing the harsh realities of prison life, according to a veteran gang leader. Even Durk, known for his street ties and resilience, is struggling with fear. In a recent interview, the founder of the G Unit, 50 Cent Jackson, opened up about why Chicago rapper Lil Durk might be feeling the weight of betrayal and fear in prison. According to 50, the threats Durk faces come not only from the federal government but also from those closest to him, the very people he built his empire with. 50 Cent Jackson has decades of street knowledge and has navigated both the music industry and gang life, so he knows the art of survival better than most. In an interview with The Breakfast Club, 50 Cent recalled giving Durk some advice. "This is them, they're the real deal," 50 said, and Durk said, yeah, and I said, yo, just watch them. Your crew, this loyalty can be a myth when money and freedom are on the line. Months before Durk ended up in federal custody, 50 Cent saw trouble with brewing, the G Unit founder, who was no stranger to entourages and the fallout of misplaced trust. When you said that to Durk, what did he do? He said, you know what he said? Somebody just came in my house. How did they know exactly what the address is? I don't give my address to anybody. That's the red flag right there. 50 clarified that this wasn't just theoretical advice back in 2021. At the time, Durk dismissed the warning, but his instincts were based on years of experience, and he knew the dangers of building an empire surrounded by people who might not share the same loyalty. The indictment against Durk paints a damning picture. He allegedly placed a bounty on Quando Rondo, organizing a hit as retaliation for the murder of King Val, his close friend and collaborator, for which prosecutors claim to have hard evidence, including financial records. His girlfriend, India Royale, survived the home invasion in Georgia. The two exchanged gunfire with intruders, a terrifying experience that raised questions about how his location was leaked. Now, sitting in a Broward County jail cell, Durk may be realizing 50 was correct all along. Lil Durk's decision to remain in the mainline population of Broward County Jail instead of opting for protective custody is a choice that speaks volumes about his character. While it's seen by some as a brave stand, it also comes with significant risks. Broward County Jail, notorious for its history of abuse and neglect, has been under scrutiny for years. Since 2021, the facility has been linked to 21 inmate deaths, raising serious concerns about the treatment of those incarcerated there. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, and various public defenders have demanded federal oversight, highlighting the grim environment in which inmates find themselves. Records indicate that flight tickets were bought for the hitman using credit cards linked to OTF, but the most shocking aspect of the crime is not the crime itself, but rather the betrayal of the 5 OTF affiliates who were arrested alongside Durk. One of them is alleged to have given the feds the information they needed to overthrow their leader, Durk, who created OTF from the ground up and now finds himself in a classic street dilemma, where the very people he empowered may be the ones who will ultimately bring about his downfall. Given these circumstances, Durk's choice to stay within the general population increases his exposure not only to other prisoners but also to corrupt staff and the broader justice system, all of whom could be potential threats due to his high-profile status. Durk's fame amplifies the risks he faces behind bars. It's not just about dealing with the possibility of violent encounters with other inmates. His status makes him a target for more than just the prison population. He faces the looming presence of law enforcement, which can exploit his vulnerability. It's a delicate balance. While some might admire his choice to not hide away in protective custody, others might see it as a form of defiance. Either way, it's a gamble that could backfire, especially if the circumstances inside the jail take a violent turn. But it's not just the physical dangers that Durk faces. His internal circle, namely OTF only the family, could pose an even greater threat if betrayal comes into play. Snitching is not only a violation of street code, it's a severe offense in both prison and hip-hop culture. If word spreads that someone from OTF has turned against him, it could lead to deadly consequences both behind bars and on the outside. Durk's street credibility and his reputation in the music industry rely heavily on loyalty, and any sign of weakness could fracture his standing, potentially leading to a wider fallout among his peers. The code of silence runs deep in his world, and one breach could cause irreparable harm to his legacy. In this context, Durk's 2022 hit song Federal Nightmares becomes eerily prophetic. In the track, Durk warns about the danger of betrayal and the ever-present threat of federal scrutiny, predicting his eventual arrest and the resulting fallout. Since his incarceration, fans have begun to view the song as an ominous premonition, sensing that Durk may have seen his own downfall coming long before the feds closed in on him. Some believe that the song foreshadows the retaliation he could face from those involved in the alleged plot against Quando Rondo, which has only added more layers of suspicion to the situation. The timing of Federal Nightmares has given rise to a series of theories, with many speculating that the song wasn't just a reflection of Durk's street life, but also a forewarning about the dangers of betrayal from his own circle. The lyrics, which speak to the looming threats of both law enforcement and disloyalty, are now interpreted as both a warning and a reflection of the paranoia that surrounds figures like Durk, who operate in high-stakes environments where loyalty can shift quickly. Lines like "delete my iCloud if I think they're really on me" take on new meaning as fans begin to connect them to the real-life drama he's currently facing, especially if there's an insider who has turned against him. Meanwhile, Quando Rondo, the alleged target in a murder-for-hire plot tied to Durk, has contributed to the drama with his own musical release. Rondo's latest track, Life Goes On, dropped at a moment of high tension and seemed to address the situation indirectly. Fans immediately began dissecting the lyrics, searching for hidden messages that could signal his side of the story. However, Rondo's unexpected move was to deliver a message of forgiveness and positivity, promoting peace and resilience despite the ongoing conflict. His stance, although surprising, has added to the complexity of the situation, with fans and observers now questioning the nature of the relationship between him and Durk. Is it possible that the two are more connected than the rivalry suggests? Rondo's message of moving forward has struck a chord, leaving fans to wonder if reconciliation, rather than continued conflict, might be on the horizon.
As tensions between Durk, Rondo, and their respective camps continue to escalate, the dynamics of their rivalry seem increasingly unpredictable. In a world where music, street politics, and personal vendettas intertwine, both men are playing a dangerous game. For Durk, his present situation behind bars is a reflection of the harsh realities he's sung about for years, where trust is fragile and betrayal can be the deadliest blow. Meanwhile, Rondo's surprising shift toward positivity offers a stark contrast, leaving fans wondering if this chapter of their saga is yet to be fully written.
In the meantime, rumors about the identity of the snitch are spreading on social media. Some fans are demanding loyalty, while others are willing to blame anyone in Durk's circle who appears even remotely suspicious. However, for Durk, the stakes go far beyond fan theories. If the snitch's identity is made public, it could spark a chain reaction of violence and serve as a sobering reminder of how quickly things can spiral out of control in the streets for 50. As Durk waits for his next court date, Lil Durk's situation serves as both a warning and a confirmation of his own survival strategy. Looking back on his time leading Unit 50, he said, "I've always had that energy myself in the middle of everything that was going on. I'm not just watching, we know FSC like, wait a minute, where were you at Thursday? If you got pulled over, you and you're not in jail." Why he believes Durk's downfall isn't just about bad decisions, it's about trust. Durk's battle for freedom is just getting started, whether it's the legal system, the streets, or his own crew. In the end, Durk's biggest obstacle may not be the federal charges against him, but rather the realization that someone he trusted, someone who claimed to be only his family, betrayed him when it mattered most. The inside threat facing Lil Durk's life is falling apart, not only in the courtroom but also in the streets that made him famous. Isn't just another chapter in his story, it's a full-fledged saga of betrayal, loyalty, and survival, with one name standing out above the others. OTF Jam, who was once a trusted member of Durk's inner circle, is now at the center of a federal investigation that could destroy everything OTF stands for. As the rap community struggles with this shocking turn of events, it's evident that the true threat to Durk's freedom isn't the charges but rather the betrayal within OTF Jam. It wasn't just any crew member. Family, a man who had served 12 years in prison for attempted murder and returned to the streets in 2022 with a reputation for loyalty to many. Jam personified the idea that OTF was founded on brotherhood and loyalty, but outward loyalty can be deceiving. JM reportedly started cooperating with authorities soon after his release. His motivations are unclear, but insider sources suggest a mix of resentment and self-preservation. Jam felt betrayed by Durk's increasing success, and Jam, a former OTF affiliate, felt that Durk had forgotten where he came from. During Jam's incarceration, Durk reportedly provided financial support and public recognition to ensure his name remained relevant in the streets, but apparently this wasn't enough. According to federal documents, Jam's decision to flip wasn't spontaneous, rather, it was calculated. There was a perceived lack of attention to his struggles. Jam's betrayal goes deep. Shortly after his release, he recorded conversations with OTF members and gave investigators important details about their operations. Jam didn't just turn over evidence, he built a case. According to federal agents, Jam gave them a timeline of events that showed how Durk and his crew allegedly planned and carried out a murder-for-hire scheme that targeted Quando Rondo. Prosecutors say the plan was retaliation for the death of King Val, a beloved OTF member and rising star in the drill scene. Jam's cooperation allowed federal agents to build a detailed case against Durk and other OTF members, which led to their arrests. This wasn't just a betrayal, it was a masterclass in deception. Jam's infiltration was chilling. By keeping his position within OTF, Jam was able to access sensitive conversations and operations documentation using a hidden wire. He recorded conversations that reportedly included coded language about hits, logistics, and financial coordination with authorities. While fans argue whether his escape attempt was an admission of guilt or a desperate act of self-preservation, it is evident that Durk was caught off guard by the depth of the betrayal. Jam had flipped it must have been devastating. According to sources close to the rapper, he suspected betrayal long before his arrest. His attempts to flee, reportedly just days before the police came knocking, hint at a man who knew the walls were closing in on Durk's actions.
Social media has been ablaze with reactions to Jam's betrayal in the context of hip-hop and the streets where loyalty is everything. Fans, rivals, and industry insiders have all weighed in on what his actions mean for OTF and Lil Durk's legacy. One viral video shows DJ Academics entrenching news discussing the accusations against Jams when Academics pressed trenches about the likelihood of Jam wearing a wire. Trenches didn't hold.
Jam played the long game, came out, flipped, got close, and now Durk is paying the price. OTF has always prided itself on being more than just a rap crew, it's a family, but Jam's betrayal has revealed cracks in the foundation. Prosecutors describe OTF as a hybrid organization that is part music label and part. This dual identity has always been a strength and a weakness for the street gang. While the label street credibility helped make its artists famous, it also made them targets for law enforcement. Jam's betrayal has only made these issues worse. His cooperation has not only put Durk in legal trouble but also raised doubts about the loyalty of other OTF members. If Jam flips, who will be the next to be indicted? OTF is a masterclass in federal prosecution based on years of intelligence gathering. Jam's assistance was crucial in giving agents the information they needed to build a case. The indictment charges Banks with orchestrating a murder-for-hire scheme against a rival rapper known as TB, who was thought to be Quando Rondo, killing his family member SR. The crime took place at a gas station in Los Angeles on August 19, 2022, and prosecutors contend that it was retaliation for the 2020 murder of OTF member King Val, a close friend of Banks. The most damning allegation in the indictments is that Durk used coded language to issue a bounty on Quando Rondo. This information was allegedly provided by Jam and has become a cornerstone of the case. Prosecutors also describe OTF as a hybrid organization that engages in violent criminal activities, not just as a music collective as its leader Banks allegedly did. The indictment alleges that Banks arranged with co-conspirators to finance the murder for H-Plot flight purchases on August 18, 2022, using credit cards linked to Banks and his companies to reserve one-way flights for the hitman from OTF. The indictment also claims that Banks used OTF resources, including personnel and credit cards, to carry out the murder plot and financed and directed actions to maintain control and reputation within the collective. In an effort to hide ties to the operation, Banks advised a cop not to book any flights under any names associated with SCK-Me. Hotel payments. The Banks credit card was also used to pay for the hitman's lodgings close to the murder scene. Surveillance footage and evidence provide a thorough account of the crime, with two cars, a white BMW and a white Infiniti, following TB and SR.'s Cadillac Escalade through Los Angeles for hours prior to the murder. The indictment names several co-conspirators charged alongside Banks, including Cav London Grant, DeAndre Dontrell Wilson, and Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and Asa Houston Banks, who allegedly worked closely with Grant, who rented the murder vehicle and bought ski masks for the murder. 3 mass shooters exited the Infiniti, opened fire at the Escalade, and fled the scene. At least 18 shell casings were recovered in the aftermath, and hours later, suspects gathered at an In-N-Out restaurant in Los Angeles, which was further captured on camera. As Durk sits behind bars, he is facing the biggest challenge of his career. The legal system is relentless, and Jam's betrayal has made his defense even harder. The hitman allegedly flew back to Chicago from California within hours of the crime, using tickets bought with money linked to the OTF. Meanwhile, witnesses in the case are unnamed due to safety concerns, and investigators have noted threats to witnesses and their families, heightening the seriousness of the case against him. But even if he wins the case, the harm to his reputation and crew might be irreparable. Jam's betrayal has become a warning to the hip-hop community in a world where loyalty is meant to be unbreakable. Jam's actions have demonstrated that survival frequently comes at a cost. For Durk, the fight isn't just about clearing his name, it's about reclaiming his legacy. The streets are watching, and how he handles this situation will define him for years to come.
Lil Durk has always been a survivor, facing the kind of struggles that would break many. But at 32, the OTF, only the family, Boss finds himself entangled in a superseding federal indictment that threatens to upend not only his life, but also the entire rap industry. Federal prosecutors have now dropped a superseding indictment, elevating Durk to the lead defendant in a case that is far from straightforward. The addition of his name to the indictment marks a pivotal shift, one that indicates the feds believe they have amassed enough evidence to directly tie Durk to the crime in question. This development signals a dire situation for Durk, as the charges are not merely speculative, but reflect an intense federal effort to connect him to serious criminal activity. The indictment links Durk to a 2022 shooting that led to the death of Quando Rondo's cousin, a crime that took place at an LAG gas station. The incident itself was tragic, but the fallout from it now involves accusations that threaten to destroy Durk's career and freedom. What makes this superseding indictment particularly dangerous is the severity of the charges. Durk is accused of conspiring to use interstate facilities to commit murder for hire, a crime that carries significant weight on its own. But the charges go even further, implicating Durk in the illegal possession and discharge of firearms, specifically machine guns, in the pursuit of a violent crime. This new indictment adds more fuel to an already volatile situation, connecting Durk not only to the shooting incident, but also to other individuals allegedly involved in the crime. The names listed in the indictment: Kayvon London Grant, DeAndre Don T.R. Wilson, Keith Jones, David Brian Lindsay, and ASA Houston, are all co-defendants who prosecutors suggest were part of a larger, coordinated criminal operation led by Durk. The feds are painting Durk as the mastermind behind this network, positioning him as the head of a criminal enterprise masquerading as a music label. This is no longer just a case about one tragic shooting. It's about dismantling what federal prosecutors describe as a gang operating under the guise of a music company. What makes the case even more complicated is the nature of the charges against Durk. Allegations suggest that Durk was not only an active participant in the plot, but a key player who orchestrated and financed the operation. Prosecutors claim Durk used coded language to communicate with co-conspirators, booking flights for them and providing the financial backing necessary to carry out the plot. According to the indictment, Durk even took measures to ensure that his actions remained undetected by instructing his associates to use aliases when booking travel. The level of caution, according to the feds, points to a well-organized and calculated effort to commit murder, one that involved multiple parties and took place across state lines. The implications of these charges are staggering. If found guilty on all counts, Durk faces the possibility of spending the rest of his life behind bars. This case has the potential to reshape not only his future, but also the public perception of his entire career. As a rapper who has built his brand on themes of survival, loyalty, and street credibility, Durk's legal troubles are now casting a long shadow over his reputation. The charges against him are severe, and the stakes have never been higher. But this isn't just a legal battle. It's a battle for the very soul of his empire. Durk has long been known for his leadership of OTF, a label that prides itself on its familial bonds and street-savvy ethos. However, the feds are now painting OTF as more than just a music label. It's a criminal enterprise in their eyes, and Durk stands at its helm. The ramifications of this indictment could send shockwaves through the industry, as it challenges the intersection of street culture and the mainstream success of hip-hop. Durk's ability to survive this storm will depend not only on his legal defense, but also on how he navigates the broader implications of these charges. Ultimately, this superseding indictment is not just about one man's legal troubles. It's about a larger narrative that involves loyalty, betrayal, and the blurred lines between music, street life, and criminal activity. As Durk faces down the possibility of life in prison, the rap world watches closely, knowing that this case could have far-reaching consequences that affect everyone involved, from artists to fans to the culture itself. The story is far from over, and its outcome will undoubtedly shape the future of hip-hop for years to come.